Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about this. John Oliver slamming Law & Order franchise as a commercial for a defective product. What they're not saying is he's basically slamming Law & Order as the root of police brutality and racism in the country, and what's supposed to be a comedy segment.
What?
Yeah. Law & Order is responsible for police brutality and racism.
Wait, what?
Yes. Well, let's talk about this, because this landed with a thud. In fact, all the comments currently on Deadline are like, what the hell is this guy smoking that he actually believes
he has crazy
this?
eyes.
He does have crazy eyes. Another talking head, supposed to be a comedian. And this is why so many of these late shows are getting canceled.
Yeah, because no one watches them.
Nobody watches this shit. And of course, it's to cash in on, the fact that Law & Order is still going on, still popular, still getting renewed. Let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 275,000 subs. Woo! We'd like to make it 280, 290. Hit that button. Hit that button, guys. So let's talk about this. We did a video a couple of days ago talking about how ridiculous and how overly sensitive a lot of people have become when it comes to the portrayal of police in any media. And that's a whole nother discussion. Good cops, bad cops, the role of the police in society, whatever. Velma Dinkley was basically canceled. Velma freaking Dinkley was canceled for calling...
30 people were mad.
Literally 34 people signed a petition for trying to get a cop car removed from a game because Velma Dinkley would identify Old Man Jenkins, pretending to be player 2 or whatever. She'd call a cop car in. They took the cop car out and put the mystery machine in because it's so much better to have a bunch of teenagers kidnap random people, right? Have them turn vigilante, even though they always called the cops in the show. So there is definitely an anti-police sentiment out there. I'm not going to tell people how to feel, what to feel, whatever, but to blame Law & Order for that is freaking stupid.
Yeah, I don't understand this at all.
So let's talk about this. Deadline. John Oliver slams Law & Order franchise as commercial for a defective product. He basically said it's a commercial for a defective product. He said on Sunday's last week tonight, capping it, actually it's like 2 years ago tonight, capping a lengthy rant about the Dick Wolf cop show that Oliver argued presents an unrealistic and misleading depiction of law enforcement.
In what way?
If a medical show was giving us inaccurate information, we would say it's dangerous. Suggesting that if Grey's Anatomy espoused misleading information about vaccines, we'd probably be having a conversation.
No, you're not allowed to. Even if there was misleading information about vaccines, you weren't allowed to bring that up or you were banned. That's
exactly what Law & Order is doing. You can go out and see the clip. I might even put a link to the clip in the thing.
Okay.
The franchise, Oliver argues, regularly promotes a message that cops can always figure out who did it. Defense attorneys are an annoyance, and police brutality is acceptable for a just outcome.
I don't watch Law & Order, but I've seen enough cop shows to know that they often portray corruption. They often portray people abusing power. And how wrong it is. I mean...
Making extensive use of show clips, Oliver never denies how entertaining and compelling the show can be. The HBO host outlined numerous ways in which the fictional cops diverge from reality. On SVU, sexual assault cases are routinely solved as opposed to a small percentage of real life. That's true. It is a cop show.
But it's imaginary.
It's imaginary. Now, sometimes it is based on or inspired by real events, but this goes back to the freaking 50s, 60s cop show.
I mean, this is what he's mad about?
Yes. Also, Oliver noted, instead of depicting a flawed system riddled with structural racism, the Law & Order show presents an exceptionally competent cops working within a largely fair framework that mostly convicts white people.
What a racist! He wants more black people on TV to be portrayed as criminals? Is that what he's saying?
Here's the cast of Law & Order.
But wait. Okay, so he's mad.
Yes.
Because... he doesn't think that they show the corruption in the police, but actually a lot of shows do. And not all, yes. I hate to break it to these people, but most cops are not bad cops. There are some cops that are bad cops. That's just
Twitter.
Everybody knows that.
Disagrees. There's a hashtag.
Most cops are not bad cops.
Unfortunately, all it takes is one bad cop to undo any and all good cop deeds.
Right. And then sadly, all the good cops are quitting.
They are.
Because they don't get paid enough for this shit. Exceptionally competent cops working within a large, fair framework that mostly convicts white people. So this person is either saying that it's racist because there's not enough black people portrayed as criminals?
Yeah.
Or
well, okay, so that's what got Velma Dinkley canceled was actually people being like, "Oh my God, she's calling the cops on LeBron James."
If they put more black people as criminals, they'd be canceled for being racist for that reason.
What was it? We were watching Castle, and I was surprised at the diversity of the.
Castle's a good show, but they also had corruption.
Yeah,
a lot of these shows have corruption, and they almost always solve it. Not all shows,
it's a TV show.
It's meant to have a conclusion.
It's a drama,
but. So this guy, okay, is this Oliver guy in real life when he is in trouble?
Is he in real life? I don't know if he's in real life. He might be a simulation.
I'm saying, is he going to call the cops? Is he going to call the cops? Like if someone's robbing his house, is he going to call the cops? Especially if it's a white person, because
don't want to unfairly convict more white.
But I guarantee you, damn well, the person who's pissed about police and acting like police are all riddled with racism and they're very incompetent and all this other shit would be if someone was robbing their house or they were being threatened, they'd fucking call the cops.
Oliver singles out Law & Order creator Dick Wolf for some of his harshest critiques, drawing a direct line from Wolf back to Jack Webb, whose dragnet was in essence a promotional tool for the LAPD. Law & Order, Oliver argues, is selling a complete fantasy that too many people in this country are only too willing to buy.
No, because Oliver is touting this idea that all cops are bad. And that's just not true. I don't believe that for 1 minute. I completely believe there are bad police. I completely believe there's corruption. I completely believe, especially if you want to talk about corruption and bad actors, let's talk about the government and the politicians. As they're too busy making laws and having these weird things where they suddenly know what stock to buy to line their own pockets. But we're not talking about that. No, cops are all bad. And Law & Order is terrible because they're showing cops as not being all evil.
Well, I mean, look, in 2020, they freaking canceled Cops, and there were a lot of cop shows that were getting canceled. Now everybody's kind of like walking that back a little bit, but the show's been on the air for...
because the cities that were cutting funding to cops now can't get any police officers to work for them.
I wouldn't.
I don't blame you. Good cops are leaving.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be associated with that shit, and they don't get paid enough for to have stuff thrown at them and the things they put up with. You're the cause of why the system's getting worse. People like this guy.
So the comments are not supporting him at all. And this is on Deadline.
Good.
Chill Out says, was he seriously saying Grey's Anatomy is an accurate description of how hospitals work? There's so much off the wall and inaccurate medical stuff on that show. It's insane. But that's fine because it's fiction. No one is going to use it as medical advice. Same with like House. Like he just happens to solve it. Is La Brea a real portrayal of what would happen if a sinkhole opened in Wilshire? Is it dangerous because people might jump into a sinkhole in hopes of being a dinosaur? Fiction is fiction. Find a real issue to worry over.
Yes, exactly.
And all the medical shows are spot on. If you want to slam Dick Wolf for something, slam him for turning Miami Vice into a snooze fest when he took over in the third season. Somebody needs to put this clown on a boat and ship him back to England. Again, this is on Deadline and not Fox News or anything like that. Dick Wolf has not strayed from the Jack Webb playbook for cop shows, much like the military's involvement in films. If Hollywood wants cooperation from police for shows, the stories better be told a certain way. This has been happening for years. That probably is true.
That is probably true, but here's the thing. There's a lot of shows that one of the plot story elements of the show, especially if it's a show about police, is there's usually somebody that's on the take or somebody that's a corrupt officer and how they have to stop that. No one's glorifying corruption. And the thing is, most places, do fight against it. The whole idea, it's like saying, because one person did something that you didn't like, that everybody in that group is the same. And that's where there's a problem.
Mike here says, just my opinion, but I can't imagine a bigger waste of time than calling out Law & Order for not being authentic enough. I really enjoy a lot of his segments, but this one misses the mark. Not a single person backing him up.
Well, the one person kind of was.
Kind of, sort of.
But it's like, this is really dumb. I'm just so tired. We saw it too, like back when all these actors and celebrities were calling out, oh, the police are bad, police are terrible. And that was like Alyssa Milano was calling the cops to her house because something happened.
Yeah.
But she had been out there being like, cops suck, down with police. And then as soon as she needed help, she's calling the cops.
The weirdest thing I saw during that whole debacle was Arrow, the guy who plays Arrow. He was on a podcast and he said what we're saying. It was very simple. There are bad cops, and police brutality is awful, and there are racist cops, and that's awful, and that needs to stop. but they're also good cops, and they freaking made him apologize for saying they were good cops.
But I'm not going to apologize for it. They can kiss my ass. There are good cops, and I would say honestly, the majority are there because they really want to make a difference.
God knows it's not for the money.
Yes.
I mean, that's, you know, it's, of all the stuff you can
do. If you're
do,
in it for the money, then you're one of the ones that's probably corrupt.
You put your life on the line every day,
and you get treated like you get treated.
You get treated like shit, and you don't get much money for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a good. Like, if you've looked at risk versus reward, police officer is probably one of the worst fields to go into, but a lot of people go into it because they actually want to make a difference. Now, some people go into it because they want to abuse power and shit like that.
The problem is, too, then when there is a story about someone who's bad, or like things that happened, like with the shootings down south, and they didn't do anything, that's what you hear about. But you don't hear about the countless, heroic stories about good cops every day. And this is really, really, really in poor taste. And again, I don't recommend John Oliver ever call the police because he needs help.
Yeah, so I'll put a link to this. You guys can go watch his rant yourself. But
I still can't believe he was mad because all the criminals are white. I'm like, you're mad because there's not enough diversity in the criminals on these shows?
I think there are people in Hollywood and in the media that are angry that there are any cop shows still on the air after 2020. And that's what it's about at the end of the day. And, a lot of people watch these shows, though.
Side note, if you want to be worried about something, let's not be worried about the cops. Let's be worried about the fact that there's an Amazon ad here for chest rub. And it's funny because Squeaking's sick. And I was talking to my mom on the phone about how I might need to get him some Vicks or something for his illness. Never looked it up. Never mentioned it anywhere. There's an Amazon ad for chest rub?
Oh, I know where it came from. The Fire Stick. Because last night you were asking me if we had any in the medicine cabinet, and we had the Fire TV on.
Mm-hmm. And it's an Amazon ad.
And it's an Amazon.
So if you want to be worried about anything, John Oliver, be worried about all the eavesdropping in your own home.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
All right. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.